Good.
The Houston Rockets are sitting on a gold mine. And while that may be strange to hear for a team that has a 5-15 record and currently ranks dead last in the Western Conference, the reference gold mine that Houston is sitting on is comprised of both young talented players and the 11, you heard me correctly, 11 first-round draft picks this team has over the next 7 years. With players like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith, and Tari Eason. Each of these players have been showcasing their special skill sets they have this season, and with them being so good, the Rockets are in a very favorable situation moving forward, to the point where they could be a playoff team, a contender, or even if they do this whole thing right, they could be title favorites. But before we get into all that, we first have to understand how and why the Rockets have found themselves, or rather gotten themselves, into such a favorable situation. In the NBA, young talented players are one of the most coveted things in the entire sport. And this is for a few reasons. Number one, young talent tends to be reasonably cheap, as the players are either on their rookie deals or on very team-friendly contract extensions. Number two, with a player being young, you have quite a few years left where you can get high-level play out of them. And then number three, if the young player, or in this case players, turn out to be really, really good, that can attract a star player to want to join your team so they can play with them. And this is exactly what the Houston Rockets have on their hands with the players I had mentioned in the beginning. Jalen Green, the former number 2 overall pick from last year's draft, is a hyper-talented guard who is a scoring machine. Not only is he a walking dunk highlight reel, who has a first step that actually was reminiscent of either John Wall or Derrick Rose, but he is a deadly outside shooter. His numbers may not reflect that, as he's shooting 35% from 3 so far this year, but Jalen is like a Luka Doncic type shooter, where the numbers don't really reflect how good of a marksman he actually is, but you just know he can hit shots. Jabari Smith, the 3rd overall pick from this year's draft, is a 6'11 forward who has a ton of upside. Offensively, he's very skilled at finding his space on the court and getting to where he can maximize his scoring ability. He's a solid mid-range shooter, and he has a silky smooth release and plays very well in the pick and roll. Jabari is also another stats will trick you guy, as he got off to a very slow start from 3 this year, but in his last 7 games, he's shooting an incredible 41% on 7 attempts, and he's truly only scratching the surface of what he can do offensively. Alperen Sengun, the 16th pick from last year's draft, is a 6'9 center who's really been the anchor for this Rockets team. Sengun has some of the best footwork of any big in the entire league, and as a result is an excellent scorer in the post and plays extremely well in the pick and roll. On top of that, Sengun is one of the best offensive rebounders in the game, as he averages 3.5, which ranks him 5th in the entire league. Tari Eason, the 17th pick from this year's draft, is a 6'8 forward who shows signs of defensive prowess and his solid jump shooting ability. Tari leads all rookies in steals, ranks 4th in rebounds, is 7th in blocks, and does all this while only playing 18 minutes a game. And honestly, I think Tari should be playing more. And then there's the point guard of the team, Kevin Porter Jr., who serves as the facilitator, although sometimes I think kind of to a fault. Kevin is a capable scorer and a solid mid-range shooter who, in my opinion, doesn't really use his scoring abilities as much as you'd like. You kind of want to see him and Jalen Green play like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, how they do in Atlanta, kind of a 1-2 scoring duo, but Kevin seems more of like a pass-first type player, which isn't bad, but when you know he can do more, you kind of want to see him do more. But overall, don't get it twisted, Kevin is a very, very good player. Each of the guys I just named has the ability to either be stars, all-stars, or very serviceable players on any NBA roster in the future, and that is what makes them so valuable. So with Houston having all these types of talented players in the team and all those first-round draft picks at their disposal, what should they do moving forward? The first option is to keep everybody and build around the 5 guys I just detailed and see what that does over time. The organic approach is one that's commendable, but requires a ton of patience. Houston's been at the bottom of the Western Conference for years now, and I'm not really sure how much longer they want to be there, seeing as how they made the playoffs for 8 straight years between 2013 and 2020. Now the second option is either this offseason or next, they unload some of their lesser contracts and make space for free agents like Paul George, Pascal Siakam, DeMar DeRozan, Miles Turner, Kyrie Irving, and etc. And all those players will be free agents between this year and next year. And to my knowledge, the Rockets are actually over the salary cap, so it'll probably have to be quite a few contracts they unload. Now, this could be risky, as it's possible that they bomb out and miss every single one of the aforementioned players.
We missed!
But when you have players like Jalen, Jabari, Kevin, etc., there's always a chance some veterans may want to play on a team with them. As we said, they're super talented. And then there's a third option, which I'm actually most fond of. Every season, there's either a star or stars around the league that want a chance to change scenery and either request or demand a trade. And that's where the Houston Rockets could swoop in and immediately change their fortune. With the 11 first-round picks the Rockets have between 2023 and 2029, along with a host of young talented players on manageable contracts, Houston would have a lot to offer in an attempt to acquire a star player who wants out. And should they acquire him, it would immediately increase their chances of winning and generate more money for a franchise, because we all know stars and winning brings in
more money, more money, more money.
And for all those reasons, this is why the Houston Rockets are sitting on a gold mine.